Hey guys, Jules here from Behind the Cork for another What's in Your Glass weekend wine. This weekend we're going back to France. I figured to stray away a little bit last week, but I want to get back right into this and give you guys an option this time, the southwestern part of France, Bordeaux region. What I'm going to showcase to you today is wine from Saint-Emilion. And give you a little bit of a rundown so you guys understand what to expect. When it comes to French wine, the regions, chateaus, it can be overwhelming the amount of wine that comes out of France. What am I tasting? How do I know what I like? How do I know where to focus? Hopefully this episode will give you a little bit more idea when you're looking at Bordeaux wine. So let's get right into it. I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown here of the Bordeaux region. So again, southwestern France, you have primarily two regions. This is the Bordeaux area. When people talk about Bordeaux wine, you're looking at the right bank and the left bank. And the reason why it's called that way is basically in the direction of flow. So the river runs upwards out to the Atlantic Ocean. So right bank, you have the Saint-Emilion and other regions. Left bank is some of you may realize Saint-Estèphe, Pauillac, Saint-Julien. The heavy hitters come out of this region right here on the left bank. What you need to know, this thing is just so complex, but what you really need to focus on is the right bank is primarily going to be Merlot driven and Cabernet Franc. The left bank is going to be Cabernet Sauvignon driven, followed by Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, often combined, and usually the heavy hitters come from the left hand side. However, there's some really great quality and amazing wine coming from the right bank, including Saint-Emilion and other regions. So what we're going to be focusing on today is Saint-Emilion. What I have here is a Chateau Gaillard, so it's Saint-Emilion Grand Cru. Hopefully you guys can see that, $31 Canadian. Hopefully you guys can find this. If not, what I want you guys to realize is, so if we talk about, again, the right bank, the wines are going to be Merlot driven, so they're going to be more supple, slightly more fruit forward. But when I say fruit, we're not talking about California Cabernet or Merlot. It's not going to be the big cherry and the big blackberry and the juicy fruits. This is going to be chiseled. It's going to be dry. It's not going to have those sweet fruit flavors. It's going to have more of the pencil shavings, the leather, the tobacco, the dark chocolate. So this is where we're going to go. But however, if sticking to the right bank, you're going to have primarily Merlot driven. This one in particular is 70% Merlot and 30% Cabernet Franc. So a good mix there. I'm going to go ahead and taste this right now. Immediately with the aroma and the initial flavor, what I'm getting is if anybody has ever, if you have a HB pencil at home, smell the pencil, this is what you're going to get here. Now I know you say maybe that's unpleasant. However, the chiseled and pencil shavings is something you'll taste and really as a secondary flavor. It's not as if you feel like you're eating a pencil, but there's other things happening here. So again, I mentioned the Merlot will be, the tannins will be softer, right? So if you're looking at the right bank, the soils are primarily limestone and clay. Limestone, if you caught my Chablis episode, usually elevates the acidity. So there's good acidity in here. The tannins are subtle. They're silky. They're smoother. If we talk about the left bank, the wines Cabernet Sauvignon driven, and the blends, we call them Bordeaux. They're going to be a lot harsher, they're just gripping, right? Whereas the right bank are going to be subtle. It's just not as apparent. And with this wine, what I'm getting is that I can feel my gums drying. I can feel the inner part of my mouth drying a little bit, but it's subtle. It's not overwhelming. It's not, I can't, it lingers, doesn't linger for too long. Again, I'm getting, the leather tobacco, the dark chocolate, very pleasant wine. especially for $31 Canadian. Very nice, but I mean, really, that's what I want to focus on now. What's interesting about Bordeaux region, it produces the most Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon volumetrically in the world. So most of the Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot this region produces, and obviously this is the highest volumetrically producing wine region in France as well. But the Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot is tremendous in this area. So you can imagine the amount of producers here, and this, it's the history here is just centuries old. And some of the amazing chateaus on the left bank produce some of the highest paying or most expensive wines in the world, rightfully so, because of tradition, because of everything they've came up with, because of the wine practices, the terroir, you name it. It goes on and on and on. You don't typically need to know that. You're going into your liquor store. What you want to know is, what am I looking for? Am I looking for softer tannins, subtle, Merlot driven? And what you want to do is you can ask your I guess the person at their liquor store, just kind of say, hey, I'm looking for something that is subtle. I'm looking for Merlot driven or Cabernet Franc, and they can typically guide you to. But when you're looking at different regions, and that's why with wine labels, you'll have the chateau and you'll have the region. So I want you guys to understand the region when you're looking at if it says Saint Estèphe or if it says Saint-Emilion. Or any other region in Bordeaux, at least you know what you should be expecting. This bottle in particular does actually tell you in the back the Merlot and Cabernet Franc, so it's another really good indication. And really, in the end, it's because of the amount of wine that comes out of this region, it comes down to find something that you like, find something that it goes well with food. This wine in particular, although it's Merlot, a little bit more subtle, it's still a full-bodied wine, so you want to pair it with something a little heavier as well. Meat dish, chicken grilled, barbecued, baked, just really something that will go well with this fuller body. If you pair this with a lighter dish, a lighter fish, or green salad, anything that is not full-bodied, it really won't show well. It'll overwhelm the dish, will just throw the wine off, and you're really not going to get the true value here. And remember the tannins here, so the tannins go really well with protein in the beef, so you want to make sure that you have something in your dish that'll go where. However, I'm a big fan of salmon. For those of you who don't like beef or are trying to stick with pescatarian diet, put a grilled salmon with this, and you're golden. So again, this is my go-to, even with salmon dishes. And we typically hear people say, well, fish with white. This is not typically always the case, depending on what kind of fish, depending on how you're cooking it, grilled, baked, and so on. So that's it. Hopefully you guys get a good insight. Again, what I want you guys to really to focus on is the regions and the grape varieties. This Merlot is going to be drastically different than a South American Merlot or a California Merlot, and by all means try the two. You'll immediately know, guarantee that if you try a Merlot driven wine from California versus this one, anybody will likely tell right away which one's from California, obviously knowing that more fruit forward in the New World, in warmer climates, whereas here what you'll have is a more refined, subtle, more supple and fruit, kind of dry fruit. I'm still getting some of the black currant coming through here. However, the chisel, the pencil shavings, the leather, it is very prominent. So that's it. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this wine. Give it a shot. Look for Saint-Emilion. A good price point here for a Grand Cru, $31 Canadian. So it's if you look at the Grand Crus on the left bank, you'll be pretty shocked there. So especially if you get one of the renowned chateaus. But again, there's so much wine coming out of this region that you really have to explore and try different ones and see the ratings at the liquor store and see what they recommend, and then give it a shot. But at least you know what grapes you're going after, and can kind of if you know what you like, you can kind of hone in on that particular region. So that's it. Jules here from Behind the Cork once again. Hopefully everybody enjoys their weekend. That's it. Till next time. Cheers.